In the warm suburbs of Austin, Texas, lived Rebecca Miller, a 40-year-old woman known for her grace, elegance, and the calm way she carried herself through life. She was a single mother, balancing a demanding career as a marketing consultant with the responsibilities of raising her 15-year-old son, Ethan. People admired Rebecca for her beauty and sophistication, but those who knew her best admired her even more for her kindness, patience, and unwavering love for her son. Ethan, however, was in the middle of the stormy years of adolescence. He was thoughtful, intelligent, and gentle at heart, but he struggled with feelings he didn't always know how to put into words. Recently, Rebecca noticed subtle changes. He avoided social gatherings, spent longer hours alone in his room, and sometimes seemed to shrink from the world around him. She knew these were signs of insecurity, but she also knew that forcing him to talk might only push him further away. Instead, she waited, choosing moments carefully, always showing him that her presence was steady and reliable. One Saturday afternoon, Rebecca suggested they go out together, just the two of them. She proposed grabbing burgers at the small diner they loved on Main Street and then heading to the local park where they used to spend weekends when Ethan was younger. Ethan hesitated at first, tugging at the sleeve of his hoodie, but finally agreed with a soft, "Sure, Mom." At the diner, Rebecca sat across from him, watching him push fries around his plate while he avoided her gaze. She asked how school was going. Ethan shrugged and muttered, "Fine," before staring out the window. Rebecca didn't press. Instead, she told a light-hearted story from her office, making him chuckle despite himself. Later, at the park, they found a bench under a sprawling oak tree where golden sunlight filtered through the branches. Rebecca sat quietly, giving Ethan space, and after a long silence, he finally spoke in a voice so quiet she almost missed it. "Mom, do you ever feel like you're just not good enough?" Her heart tightened at the words, and she turned fully toward him. "All the time when I was your age," she admitted softly. "Why do you ask, sweetheart?" Ethan kept his eyes on the ground. "Everyone at school seems better than me. They're taller, stronger, they're good at sports, some even have girlfriends. I feel small, like I don't measure up." Rebecca reached over and took his hand gently. "Ethan, listen to me. You are so much more than your height, your looks, or any comparison you make to others. You're kind, you're smart, you're thoughtful. Those things matter more than you realize. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs you, exactly as you are." Ethan's throat tightened. "But what if no one sees that?" Rebecca smiled gently, brushing his hair back from his forehead the way she did when he was a little boy. "Then I'll remind you every single day until you see it yourself." For a moment, Ethan's eyes glistened with tears. He looked away, embarrassed, but Rebecca's calm presence gave him courage. She told him stories of her own teenage years, how she once believed she wasn't pretty enough, how she compared herself constantly to her friends, and how it took years to realize her worth was never in those comparisons. Ethan listened closely, surprised to hear his mother, who always seemed so confident, confess that she too had once struggled deeply. As the sun lowered, they walked home slowly, talking more than they had in months. That evening, Rebecca was surprised when Ethan joined her in the living room instead of disappearing into his room. They sat together, pulling out old family albums, laughing at the pictures of Ethan as a toddler covered in spaghetti sauce, or his awkward first day of kindergarten. Later, they played a board game, something they hadn't done in years, and even ordered pizza. It wasn't a holiday or a special occasion, but to Rebecca, it felt like the most precious evening she'd had in a long time. In the following weeks, Rebecca noticed small but significant changes. Ethan joined the school's photography club, something he had always been curious about but never dared to try. He began spending more time with new friends who shared his interests, and he even volunteered to help set up at a local charity event. He wasn't suddenly free of insecurity. Rebecca could still see moments where doubt flickered in his eyes, but he was learning to step into his own light. Rebecca also learned something herself, that being a mother wasn't about fixing everything for her son, but about standing beside him as he figured things out, guiding him without taking away his journey. One evening, as she tucked him into bed, Ethan surprised her by whispering, "Thanks, Mom, for listening, for not giving up on me." Rebecca kissed his forehead, her heart full. "Always, sweetheart, always." That simple sentence meant more to her than anything else. From that night on, Rebecca and Ethan's relationship deepened. Their home was still filled with the ordinary challenges of life, work deadlines, homework stress, chores, but there was a new sense of openness. Ethan began to talk more, sometimes about his day, sometimes about worries that once would have stayed buried. Rebecca made sure to always listen, never brushing aside his feelings, always validating that his experiences mattered. Over time, Rebecca's honesty about her own past helped Ethan accept his present. He realized he wasn't alone in his insecurities, that even his mother, the person he thought had everything figured out, had once walked the same road. That knowledge didn't erase his struggles, but it gave him strength. Months later, when Ethan stood at his school's spring festival, camera in hand, capturing moments of laughter and joy, Rebecca watched from the crowd with tears in her eyes. He stood taller, not because he had grown physically, but because he was beginning to believe in himself. For Rebecca, that was the most beautiful transformation she could have ever witnessed. She knew there would be more challenges ahead, more moments of doubt, but she also knew that they had built a foundation strong enough to face it all. Ethan had opened up about his insecurity, and in doing so, he had not only found comfort but also discovered resilience. And Rebecca, through her honesty and love, had reminded him that he was never alone. Their bond, already unbreakable, had grown even stronger, and both mother and son carried with them the understanding that vulnerability was not weakness, but the beginning of true strength.